everybody. Welcome back. We're here for another episode of Self Love is the Key Wellness. I am Cam the Queen. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. And we have here our co host.
Hey you guys, what's up? I'm Coach Jay. I'm a certified life coach.
Hello, everyone, ladies and gents. I am Porsche, and I am a certified victim advocate.
And today's topic is it's very simple. Don't get too comfortable.
In
Okay?
anything.
In anything. And Coach Jay he was just saying something that I thought was super important. He said something about this generation, right? Something about how we are today. For some reason, we are too comfortable in whatever it is that we're doing. I don't know if it's because of COVID. I don't know if it's because everything is so instantaneous now with the internet, with TikToks, with Reels. Like, what do you think that is, Coach Jay?
I think it's just like I think to a certain degree, I think COVID does have something to do with it. I think prior to COVID, a lot of people were, I think social media was like a main factor, of course, but I think that as time went on and COVID happened, it was like we kind of all got distant and kind of sort of just
In our
focused on
comfort
our
zone.
own needs. But it's like that's great to focus on our own needs, but then we can't forget about other people's needs. Um, like I'm very big on making sure that I'm good, because in order for me to be good, or in order for you to be good, I have to be good. So I'm very big on that. But I think that at the same time, especially in relationships, whether it's friendship, whether it's family, whether it's romantic or not, I feel like we still have to make sure that our family members or our partners are very well taken care of as well from us. So I think social media has a lot to do with it. I think COVID has something to do with that. I think that as after COVID happened, I think nobody actually went back into that process of like really trying to connect with other people anymore. I think
Yes.
it went to like basically, well, I'm gonna just do me, you do you, and we're
You
gonna
see what
figure
I
out how
see
that's
you.
gonna work. Yeah, we're gonna
Right.
figure out how that's gonna work out.
Yes. I'll see you when I
Mhm.
see you.
Yeah.
I'll shoot you a text here and there, and that's pretty much it. Like, what do you think,
And
Portia?
I think, yeah, I agree with both of you. I feel like the selfishness though started before COVID, and I think COVID plus the
Okay.
rampant of social media made it okay and acceptable. So now we're
Hmm.
lacking this
Mm-hmm.
interpersonal skill, not just like in relationships with your life partner or whatever, but just in general, like with siblings, with family, with coworkers. It's like I'm starting personally, I start to see like people create relationships off of a potential gain down the line. It's like, oh, I want to know
Yes. What's
them
in it for
because
me?
that
Mm-hmm.
and then that. I mean, it's a turn
Mm-hmm.
off. Like, I think I'm old. I call myself old school because I loved the interconnectivity. Like when we had to go outside. If you wanted to see your friend, you had to go outside. You had to walk to their house. You had to talk to their parents or their grandparents, and how's everything? Like, I miss that. And I think a lot of people got comfortable,
You're
and
talking
once,
about social skills. Right. She's saying what
Yeah.
happened to the social skills.
Yeah,
Yes.
like, I remember growing up as a kid, like, having to go and knock on people's doors to ask, can, my friend come outside and ask my mom, can I take my bike outside so I can go bike riding?
Yeah.
Like all of those different things. I remember that. And I feel as if like today's children are so wrapped up in like phones and tablets and social media and YouTube and all of those things like that where they're lacking just being able like you said social skills, just going outside to interact with other people, other kids their age. And I think that a lot of times I sit back and I wonder like, are our children today going to grow up a lot faster than what we grew up, because things are, like you said, more instantaneous, where things are just at our fingertips opposed to us having to search it or figure it out, or, it's kind
Yeah.
of
My concern is
Mhm.
just
this.
there.
Yeah, my concern is that they are going to grow up, but not grow up emotionally. So they're going to grow up in age, but
Mm.
the emotional maturity level is not going to be there. The empathy is not going to be there. The ability to communicate effectively is not going to be there, and they're going to be looking for everyone else around them to entertain them. or to bring something to the table and think that they don't have to do that for themselves.
Hmm.
Entertain me, come in and educate me. And if you're not, then we're not vibing. It's not a vibe. And I'm
Hmm.
going to move on to the next thing that's entertaining.
Girl, don't get me started on vibing. But I'm gonna play the devil advocate because I know we're talking about
Okay.
the younger generation, but let's talk about our own generation. Because some of them is still missing the same qualities now, and they're gonna just be older people. So I just
They're
feel like,
no, okay. The reason why, no, you're
hmm
right. The reason why though is because they're following suit. Nobody wants to get old. Everyone wants to do what the young people are doing, and so
hmm
what the older people are doing is they're dumbing themselves down to be like the younger generations. That is what's happening. I agree with you 100% because nobody wants to get old. Everyone's afraid of that now. We all want to look the same.
But
yeah,
I also think that like some people just really don't have that quality. Like they just was never taught to grow up, like, or to
Yeah,
mature,
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So I think that instead of them actually looking and seeking for that on their own, they're just kind of like being okay with where they are, and like you said, continuously dumbing themselves down to be with this generation, opposed to elevating themselves and being more like,
Yeah.
hey, like I want to be more emotionally involved with myself,
Yeah, like we need to
opposed
go
to
backwards. We need to go back to
yes,
that, back to connecting
yes,
with people, back to going
Yeah.
outside,
yes.
breathing the fresh
Man,
air,
I
getting
miss it.
vitamin D.
Girl, give me that vitamin D. Sorry.
Hmm. Since you brought up vitamin D, hold on. Since you brought up vitamin D, people are getting comfortable within relationships, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And one of those areas was sex. Is that correct, Portia?
That is definitely
What were your
correct.
thoughts on that?
So,
Yeah, what were your thoughts on that?
I mean, there's a lot of complacency with, relationships, especially with sex. Like, where the heck is the foreplay? Like you hear a lot of men talk about, oh, well, it's bad because, we're not, she's not lubricated enough, for lack of a better word.
It was a post that I will tell you that someone posted
Hmm
on Threads. They posted a question for the men, and the question was for the men. How do you know if someone's hoo ha is bad? And a lot of them were saying her hoo ha is bad if it's dry. And my response to that was, if her hoo ha is dry, what are you doing to help her make it not dry?
And
Right?
that's why I came in
Hmm.
with foreplay. I was like, a woman,
Yes.
my opinion is that for me, I will speak only for myself. I cannot speak for other women, but I like to be mentally stimulated. You know what I mean? I like to know that I'm the sexiest thing walking in when your eyes tell me. You don't even have to say anything. I like you to kiss me on my neck or my shoulder. Like, it doesn't have to be sexual, but it could be sensual. And I feel like we're missing that, and people are getting so comfortable in their relationships that we're not even exploring ourselves and what we can be. Remember role playing back in the day, and all of this. It's not even back in the day, it's just some things that have fallen off. And I think we need to re-explore that. Like, we're not just one-dimensional individuals. We're people who
But
don't know our
I
limitations. So
think
let's explore it.
like some people, some men
Mhm.
may not, and I'm not saying all men, but some men may not know how to do foreplay, and I
That's true.
think that that's okay. I feel like everybody is not where everyone isn't in the same ballpark, when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to sex, so
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's where it's very important to communicate to your partner what it is that you're looking for as well. Like we can't just simply,
Yeah.
put it off on the men and say, hey, like it's your job to do this, it's your job to do that. It's like, it's also, a woman's job to, or a man's
To
job or
communicate.
whomever, to communicate that as well. Like it's communication, and that really do works both ways in order to, stimulate the the experience, you know.
No,
So
I agree 100% with you. I think some of this goes back to gender roles and a lot of women growing up thinking that they have to be agreeable and that they are afraid to speak up for themselves and say, hey, you know what, I actually do have some things that I would like in the bedroom, or I do have some wants and needs. And because of that, men can go years and years and years not knowing that they're actually not satisfying their woman because the woman thinks that she shouldn't say anything. And that's really sad. And yeah, the woman she should
Yeah.
speak up and say what she needs, and hopefully her partner will listen to that. He has to also be willing to accept feedback
hmm
and not be so much in his ego that he doesn't think she should say something,
but
you
I feel
know.
like there
Or
shouldn't be an ego when it
Of
comes to
course not.
sex,
Right.
because
I
I
would
feel
hope
like
not. But
I
some
feel like if we're in
but
a
some men do.
relationship.
Yeah, but some
No,
of them
yes,
do.
yes, yes,
uh,
yes,
That's the
yes. I'm not saying
problem.
that they don't, but I just don't
Yeah.
think that there should be an ego, because if we're in a relationship, where's the ego coming from? Like, I know that me and you have had sex before, so you know what I look like, you know what everything, how everything goes, you know. So there should be no ego. If I'm telling you, oh, I like it a little bit more to the left than I do to the right, then it's more so letting that happen and letting that be that, you know.
and
So
I was
I mean, there should be no
going
ego.
going off what you said, Coach Jay, is I feel like you're right. There should be no ego. However, and Cam brought up a good point in our conversation, was that we're accidentally or unintentionally gaslighting them. You're like, oh, like,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
not saying,
Oh, you're so
right?
awesome. I love my man, and he's the best man ever. And no, boo, you're in love, and you're trying to stroke his ego, but you're also, you're putting your own needs to the back burner.
Yep.
So we got to stop doing that as women. How many times a woman get mad at her man, and she's like, okay, you know what? It wasn't good anyway, and that's why it
I
was
was
wrong
just about to
anyway.
say that.
That's because they went the whole relationship lying to that man because they
hmm
were so in love at that time.
I feel like you
I
got to
mean, is it,
communicate from the
are we
beginning,
lying?
not when you
So is
get
it
mad.
lying?
Yeah.
I was like, is it lying
Yeah, because they
though?
were in
Because,
love.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because
because when
when
you
you
in
feel like
love,
you're in
you
love,
gonna close your eyes. You gonna close your
yeah,
eyes and squeeze them legs and make it feel like something when
yes,
you're in love.
yeah. I'm,
But when you're not, your eyes open and you like,
hmm
nah, nah, it ain't
hmm
working.
hmm
it's true.
That's
That's true.
true.
That's
It is
true.
so true.
The honeymoon stage does go out, and that's what I think that's where the conversation is about, the whole complacency. It's because it's like, all right, we're past the honeymoon stage, we're past the I have Google eyes
Yeah.
for him and only him or her, or
hmm
because this isn't just about
It's
heterosexual
perfect.
relationships, this is about relationships overall,
hmm
you know. So if you could,
hmm
Coach Jay, if it's not just like I said, it's not that, you can definitely give us some pointers, or maybe this can go into different relationships, but I just think that we took out, I think when the world became so accessible, like with porn and all this other stuff, you like, we live in this fantasy world, and we're not living with our true selves to enjoy the experience that we could
Thank
really have,
you.
you
Thank
know.
thank you, Portia. The next point I was going to bring up was porn addiction, right?
But
Come on.
Pornography. Hold on, Coach J. Hold on, Coach J. You can say your piece, but let me get this out now. Pornography has totally warped. It has warped our view on sex and what it's supposed
hmm
to look like, what it's supposed to feel like. And I think that some people, not all, but they take it too far with the pornographic images, and then and it makes their expectations unrealistic, and it also makes some people a little bit more lazy and more complacent and more like, well, what are you going to do, because I know
Yeah.
what a other person can do because of what I'm watching. You know what I
hmm
mean?
hmm So I mean, I can agree with you. Like, I do
Okay.
agree with what you're saying. I do agree, but
Uh-huh.
I think that porn will actually help in a relationship,
It
especially a
can.
romantic relationship. I think that if you're looking at porn in a learning way,
Okay.
opposed to looking at it in a way of like, oh, I want to mock what they're doing,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
can take what they're doing and incorporate it in your own ways. It's not about, and that's where that communication again comes in with your partner, and you letting that person know, hey, like, so you saw what, he was doing to her, or he was doing to him, or she was doing to her, whomever, and I want something similar to this to happen, doesn't have to be exactly like that. Let's work the kinks out to where that we can get it to where it's perfect between us.
Right,
So I
right,
think
right.
that
That's
I,
a good point.
Yeah.
Very good point.
I love that
so
you brought
I
that
think
up.
I think it's just a it's just different ways to look at it. Porn is not all bad.
It depends on your comfort level with yourself and with your partner, right? So I have a really funny anecdote. I want to tell you guys a funny story from one of my clients, and she's such a sweet girl. She's really sweet.
Yeah.
She's very conservative. Was grew up very strict, very traditional, and her partner, he's also very very nice guy. Was in the military, like all American type of guy, and they're starting to talk more about what they want to explore with each other sexually, right? And so he mentioned like wanting to do it outside in the forest, right? And he showed her a porn scene. He showed her a scene of a couple, and they were out in the forest. And my client is very shy, and she has some body image issues, and she knows that he loves her very much. But she said to me, I don't think I'll ever be able to do anything in public, because I'm so shy, and I have anxiety, and I'm afraid. I'm afraid, what if we get caught? What if, a coyote goes by, or I get a pine cone stuck in my ass or something? Like, anything could happen, right? Anything
True.
could
No,
happen.
that's true. That's true.
Very
And
true.
I said, that's a very valid point. I said, why don't you talk to your partner about compromise? Maybe you guys can do it in the backyard or something. Maybe you can do it somewhere, like maybe where it's halfway open, like this with the back door open or something. Maybe you can do it in a way where you both can feel comfortable, and he can get a part of his fantasy, maybe not the whole thing, but some of that. Or just have a good laugh just talking about it. You guys can do it in your house, and put up some fake grass in your house, and just make and laugh and still have a good time.
I mean, I think
Right?
that so I agree with you. Like, I mean, I think that it's just some people, like, they be wanting to really, spice up their relationship, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's just I personally look at that as like him just wanting to be more spontaneous when it
Uh-huh.
comes to sex. So I don't think that there's a problem with him wanting to do it
No, I
outside. I
mean,
mean,
she asked and he answered the question. She asked
right.
him and he
So
showed her.
I mean, I think in that situation, I think that, like, maybe he could help her with that process of, like, you know maybe doing small things outside to build up
Right.
that confidence level outside,
Mm.
opposed to just
Exposure,
being,
exposure
yeah,
therapy. Uh-huh.
exactly, opposed to just going and doing it. It's like,
Uh-huh.
let's warm up to things, like, let's go outside and let's go to the forest and just kiss, and let's start
Yes.
there. and
Yes.
and then maybe the
Gradual.
next time we go, maybe, I'll take my shirt off, you don't have to take yours off, I'll take mine off, and then we could
Yeah.
kiss, and, maybe do a lot more touching. It's just about, like, really gradually getting someone to the place that you're wanting them to feel comfortable. So, because you're comfortable with it, so you have to allow somebody else to be comfortable with that same process as well. It's
Love
not
I
just
it.
like that.
about
Yeah, I like
you, it's
that.
about your partner as well. Yeah, I mean,
I think
you
because
gotta,
your
you gotta be
Compromise.
open,
yeah,
compromise.
Yes.
your antidote, like the story you just gave, was the epitome of communication, right? Because I had a situation where a friend, her dude just sprung up a different position on her, rather than, he watched it on porn or whatever, and he sprung it on her to the point where she was uncomfortable, and she was like, girl, where did he get this from? Where she's wondering, is he looking at other women, or did he get this by trying other women? Because that communication part is very important. And I just wanted to, like, when I was
Mm-hmm.
hearing you, I love the steps you took, to get her comfortable. But I think a lot of people
Yeah.
miss the fact that you
Yeah.
have to communicate. It doesn't mean it's a negative, or it has to be an awkward situation.
But gradually,
Right.
not just spring it on a person, right? Right.
Right.
Because so in that situation, he just sprung it on her, that position,
Mm-hmm.
without
Mm-hmm.
any warning, or
No
preparation
warning,
beforehand.
no prep. He
Uh-huh.
literally came in and tried a different position. And she
Yeah.
was like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
he has
mean,
to
I
get her
think
comfortable.
Yeah, and first though, I'm gonna be honest. As a woman, just the first thing I'm thinking is, where the hell this come from? Like, I'm not thinking, oh, he watched the porn, he thought about us and wanted to do something new. It's more like, what you doing? You know, like, where is this coming from? Like, where is it? You know, and I mean, that's why communication, I would say, is so key. But I love the gradual steps. You know, I think that we all could do
Well,
that. I
but that's
think.
the thing. Yeah,
Hmm.
you said it, but he could have. He very well could have seen a position on a porno and said to himself, "I want to try this next time," and he
Mm-hmm.
just like
Mm-hmm.
forgot to
Mm-hmm.
run it by his partner,
Mm-hmm. That's
and then
sometimes that
then to cue
happens.
her in. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah, sometimes that happens, and I think that I think with that process, it's like I wouldn't say like immediately go to that process of thinking like this person is doing something outside of the relationship. That's something I
Mm-hmm.
would say. Don't immediately go there. I would just simply
Hmm.
ask questions like what made you think of this position? Like
Right. I
like
like.
what
Okay, that's
made
interesting.
what made you want to try this? Or where did you get it from? Where did you see it at? And just once again, like we're continuously saying, communication is the key. Like that is genuinely the key in like everything, especially when dealing with someone else. Like we have to both make sure that we're all comfortable in doing everything that we're both wanting to explore.
Yeah, I mean, bring me in. Let me see what you're saying. You know, maybe I see a part that I like. Like,
Hmm.
I just think that there needs to be a lot
Hmm.
more community with each other so that we can. Because complacency is natural. It happens. We all do it. Like, when we was in school,
Hmm.
you got used to getting up at 7:30, having to be at school at 8 or whatever, and get out at a certain time, go home. It was the structure. It was so it's so natural for us because we need structure as human beings. But there's that point where when you start to get bored, we got to start getting creative. And it's not just
Hmm.
professionally or spiritually, it's in every aspect. And I think
Hmm.
intimacy it's not just about sex, it's really about the intimacy. Because I don't know how many times you go to McDonald's, right? It'll make sense in a minute. If you go to McDonald's all the time, you get tired of eating the same Happy Meal, right? You want to spice some things up. You want to try
Hmm.
something new. You want to try a new place. You get bored. So you just, you know, you start looking like, where other restaurants have something else? And that's kind of how I don't know, I'm starting to look at relationships. It's like they can get really complacent is a nice word, but let's say what it is, boring. If we're doing the same things over and over and we just need to add a little spice.
So something that clients tell me this a lot, that they get bored with their partners
Hmm.
and they don't know what to do, or they're afraid to bring up something they want to try. And I say, but are you checking in with your partner on a regular basis? And if you're not, you should. I don't care if that's weekly, it could be once a month, it could be every day, but checking in. How are you doing? How are you feeling? How are you feeling about us? Are there things that we
Yes.
need to talk about that we haven't talked about? Are there things that you want to try that we haven't tried yet? Right.
Hmm.
So just like at work, right? If you're at a job you have quarterly meetings, right?
Hmm.
You have quarterly meetings, or it might be a monthly, it might be a weekly meeting, whatever the case is. But it's because you want to talk about how things are going at the job. You talk
Hmm.
about progress. You talk about setbacks. You give people accolades. Congratulations on this milestone in your life or your career, X, Y, and Z. The same thing with the relationship. You should be checking
Hmm.
in, talk about your milestones, talk about your goals, talk about your progress. Because
Yeah.
if you don't, you will get complacent. If you just keep going doing the same thing over and over again, like on repeat, and no one's talking to each other, you're both going to build up resentment over time, and you're both
Hmm.
going to get bored, right? And then it
Hmm.
might come out the wrong way, and we don't want that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very important to communicate the your needs, so that you're not getting to that place of just being bored. Like no one wants to be bored in a relationship with someone else. Like I feel like that's the purpose of being in a relationship with someone, is to, grow with someone, to live with someone, to be
Have
happy
new
with
adventures.
someone, new adventures, because this person is going to get you out of your comfort zone. They're going to want to do things that you wouldn't normally do on your own.
Yeah.
So with that process, you would want to, whether it's about sex, whether it's about, just new adventures in life, whether it's new trips that they want to take, whatever it may
Yeah.
be, like you want to bring it to the forefront to where that someone can actually say, I never thought about that. But now that you brought that up, let's look into that. Or give me more information about what you're speaking of. But if you never bring it to anyone, no one will ever know exactly like how to move forward or how to make it not boring anymore. Like, go and speak to your partner, talk to your partner, tell them exactly how you feel. I literally was just telling someone the other day, like, literally, you can't always care about the next person and how they're going to interpret what you're saying, because then you're never going to be able to get out what it is that you really truly feel. Someone is never going to really know how you feel if you can't tell them, because you're afraid of them screaming at you, them blowing up on you, them, the way that they may interpret it may be something negative, even though you may have meant it as something way more positive than the way that they took it. But you know, that's not our job to make sure that we're saying it in a way that someone else is going to be able to, you know, live a better life with it, if that makes any sense. Like, we just have to say what we mean what we say, and say how we feel.
Yeah.
That's it.
I agree. Delivery does matter, especially if you want that person
Delivery
to
matters.
take in what you're saying. So I am a
Hmm.
big advocate of communicating. I mean, it's not easy. It's those type of conversations that need to be had, because this complacency, this laziness, because we're calling it complacency, but there's so many. It's boring. It's lazy. There is this moment of we're all becoming lazy because we don't really have to do anything. Everything is done for us.
It's because we've gotten too comfortable, right? You've gotten too
Hmm.
comfortable, too used to the
Yeah.
status quo, and you have some people who they've gotten used to being the victim. They got used to complaining. They got used to making the other person the bad guy or the villain, as opposed to
Hmm.
Hmm.
saying, "Why don't I sit down and talk to them, and maybe they don't have to be the villain anymore. If I talk to them about it, and I come to a conclusion or a happy medium, and then we can both be happy." Sometimes we
Yeah.
get too comfortable within that victimhood, which is also not healthy,
Mm.
right? So yes,
Mm.
right, the communication and the comprehension and accountability need to be had. Because I could talk all day. I could talk till I'm blue in the face about how I want you to do it to the left or whatever. But if you
Yeah.
don't understand that, if you think that left is right, because you don't understand what I mean when I say left, you might still do it wrong. Or if you in your mind saying, well, you're saying, well, left, I'm already going left, then you're not taking accountability. So then
Hmm.
it's like I communicated all that and I'm going to still be frustrated. So we have to make sure we do all the steps when it comes to empathic listening, when it comes to being able to take feedback and learn from that feedback and,
Hmm.
actually change your actions. Ooh, scary word, change. Change, y'all. That's a scary word for some
Yes.
people.
Or,
Yes.
But we
try
all
not
have
to.
to do it. We all got
Yeah,
to
try
do it.
not to listen to respond, but
Yeah.
listen to really listen.
Yes, and that's
Really
how you learn.
hear.
That's how you learn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you guys have any final thoughts on not keeping things comfortable?
Communicate.
I
That's what I
would
would say.
say I like that. I would say keep reinventing yourself no matter how old you get. The older we get, I would more encourage you to keep reinventing, keep exploring, because the world is bigger than what we see it. So don't get complacent, not in your relationship, not in your professional life. Just keep finding out who you are.
Yes, yes, I love it. Thank you again so much, Portia, for joining us today on this episode of Self Love is a Key Wellness. And we are looking forward to have you on again. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you all for listening.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.